It's the next morning, and it was cold last night. Got down into the 20s, so it was good for hanging this meat. I'm gonna go ahead and grab one side of this and bring it inside. So as you can imagine, a gambrel doesn't work very good for hanging one side. So I've got the one side down here, and I just went into the workshop and grabbed a clamp and then just clamped through there, hooked the come along back to that. And now I've got this side hung up by itself. We'll take this side in and we'll go ahead and start butchering it right now. So I just brought this in on a sheet, and then I've got one of those, it's just a plastic folding table, nothing special. Took it out of the garage, washed it, made sure everything was clean, and we're literally doing this in our dining room. You don't have to have a full-on butcher shop or anything like that. You can butcher animals right in your house. Just be clean about it. That's the main thing. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to be removing what's called the leaf lard. That is located, that's this right here and inside of here. So we're going to remove that. Looking for just the white fat with, you know, not very much meat in it. We're just trying to harvest the fat right now. We removed most of the leaf lard, and now we're going to separate the ham. So we'll be doing a cut up this direction, detaching it from the belly, and then coming up in between the second and the third vertebrae. Okay, we have the hind leg detached now, and all I had to do was just saw through this portion of the vertebrae in between the first and the second vertebrae. I used a meat saw for that. I got a really nice meat saw for Christmas, and my wife let me open it early, so I used it. That was actually the reason why she bought it, was because we knew we were going to be butchering a pig. So this is over here, and we'll continue to break down the rest of the animal into primal. Okay, I'm just going to briefly go over what I'm doing here so that it's easier to understand later. So we're going to use a square cut method, and what we're going to do is we're going to separate the shoulder first, and how we're going to figure that out is we're going to count the ribs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here in between the fourth and the fifth rib, we'll just make a mark there. Okay, we're going to come straight down through that rib, and then about center of the animal, we're going to come back this way. That's going to separate the shoulder. If we go straight down, this other half will be the butt and the picnic. We'll have the loin and the belly. So we're just going to basically just cut. We're going to draw a line like this. Straight down, straight across. So we're going to end up with 4 major pieces of meat. There's going to be a lot of sawing involved, but we will do some of it with the knife too. Okay, there's that. And we're just going to continue our cut down this other side, and I'm just going to push it all the way down and push my knife forward. Let's do that one more time. You want to make sure to have a pretty long knife. And I'm going to come back in that cut a little bit more, and I'm going to come down from the underside. Okay, so now I'm lined back up with that. Okay, I'm going to cut through here with my saw and through here with my saw. And we'll just finish cutting this the rest of the way. Okay, so now it's cut in half that direction, and we're going to cut it this way to separate the loin and the belly. So we'll cut it here now, and we'll do this with our knife as well. We're going to go for bone-in pork chops. That's what we like. So we're going to come 2 to 3 inches down here. So we're going to be about here, and then we're going to just score this like that. Okay, so we're going to cut through here, and now I'm going to transfer my mark down to the other side of the meat so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, flip this over and find my mark over here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to come from here to here on the opposite side. Okay, now all that should be left is your ribs to saw through that cut that we just made. Okay, now we have our loin and the belly. So these two are separated. We can put those off to the side now. Now we're going to work on splitting this in two so that we can get a shoulder and a butt and picnic out of it. So again, we're just going to be cutting this direction on it, and we're going to be, we want our cut to be right along the bottom of this, and then we're going to come straight out here. So we'll go like this, and I'm just going to mark that, come straight down from there, and then again I'm just going to make a mark with my knife so that I know where I'm at when I flip it over. I think this time we're going to go ahead and saw through these ribs right now. Okay, saw through there, and now we should be able to just cut straight down through here. Except for we do have one bone that we've got to still contend with. And we're going to flip that over. Okay, obviously there's a bone here that runs through there, so we need to cut that. Okay, we've got it separated now into kind of our 5 main cuts that we were trying to do. We've got our shoulder, our butt and our picnic, our belly, our loin, and then the rear leg here. Now that we have this all done, we can start making our cuts out of it. To actually make something now, we're going to be deboning this shoulder, and we're going to be using it for sausage. If you're making this for sausage, it really doesn't matter. You're just going to take this bone out, and then you're going to take all the meat off of it that you can to grind. And we're going to kind of peel it back. So you want to come down at an angle, get that off. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of separate this a little bit. You can see where the membrane attaches here. So what I'm doing is I'm going down to the scapula or the shoulder blade, and I'm going to basically just fillet this off that scapula. I want to keep my knife as close to there as I can. And then this comes down and around on both sides. If you've ever seen a shoulder blade on a deer or an elk, it looks the same. There's the shoulder blade. Okay. This whole thing right here, we could either make a roast out of that, boneless roast, or we could do, we could just grind it into sausage. Honey, what do you want to do?
I think, well, I'd like to have quite a bit of ground pork and quite a bit of sausage. I'm not really interested in pork roasts.
Okay, so this is going to be just like I said. So we'll just cut this into manageable size pieces to grind. So these are the kind of the rib bones and stuff that I took out of the Boston butt. I'll put that with my ribs and save that for grilling later. Okay, so we've got the Boston butt, the shoulder. We took all the meat from it. And then we have the scapula left over. We're gonna save, I left a little bit of meat on there so that we can put this in white beans when we make white beans. So we'll put this to the side. And then the rest of this is gonna be for grinding. The beauty about pigs is they're so versatile. I could do one whole side of this one way, and then I can take the other side and do it. I can get more cuts out of it. So anyways, we're going to put this in a bowl for now to grind later, and then we will start in on the front shoulder, and we'll decide what we want to do with that. So we're going to take right here this rib section that's connected to the picnic, and I'm just going to cut straight down. And we're going to make some ribs out of this. And actually, I'm just going to leave that the way it is. I'll remove the silver skin from it right now. Okay, we got a small rack of ribs there. Okay. Now we can make those into pork chops. Okay, I kind of trimmed around this picnic a little bit, and we're going to be using this to make some pork chops. And we'll go with 1-inch thick pork chops. I'll go through and I'll score those areas with my knife, and then I'll come back and cut those with the meat saw.
Oh, you're gonna be in ancestral wisdom. But in front of you, honey.
Yeah, you want camera. Yeah, I guess just debone that whole thing, and then we'll just turn it into if you leave some meat on the bone, it's not a big deal. We'll just turn it into like a ham bone. This is the top of the loin. We're going to be making pork chops out of this. Bone-in pork chops are my favorite. My whole family loves them, or most of us anyways. You don't really get much choice on the thickness of your pork chop because you're just going to cut in the center of the ribs. So that's what I'll be doing with this right here, and we'll just be making some pork chops. I apologize if you wanted to see the rest of this and have me explain everything to you, but it was just a really long couple days. We got a lot of butchering done on this day, and then we did the same thing to the other side on the next day, and it was just a lot of work, and we tried to explain everything as much as we could. Appreciate it. Okay, it was a pain in the butt, but it'll be worth it in the end. We got all these bone-in pork chops cut, ended up with a pretty good pile of them here, and then we've got some country-style pork ribs here, which is just a boneless and we'll be able to smoke those. Those will taste really good. And we just have some grind stuff over here. We really ended up with some nice pork chops, and we ended up making that into pork chops as well. The belly, we turned it into, some of it we ground, some of it was for bacon, some of it was for ribs, and then the ham we turned into ham steaks. So day 3 is coming right up. We're going to be doing some processing of the meat. You'll see us grinding and doing all the other stuff. We did do the other half of the pig that day too, but we didn't record any of that because it's pretty much the same thing. And like I said, it was already a lot of work anyways. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you stick around to see the third one. And if you didn't see the first one, go back and watch that one.